Today, people nationwide and also in Central Florida are reacting to the U.S. and Israeli strikes that reportedly killed more than 200 people in Iran and dozens of their top military officials. And late this afternoon, confirmation of major breaking news out of Iran. President Donald Trump and Israeli forces say that those strikes on Iran killed the supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Israeli forces have been reporting this for the last few hours, but the U.S. had not commented. But now, within the last hour, President Trump repeating the same news on his social account, Truth Social. And this was the scene in Iran today after those strikes from the U.S. and Israel. Iran says more than 200 people again killed in the attack, and that number likely will go up. The attack in the middle of the day targeted a meeting of top officials, and the U.S. says dozens of them were taken out. Reactions have been pouring in from around the world and right here at home. In response to those attacks, Iran did launch its own round of strikes throughout the Middle East right after the first blast. In a change from past attacks, the first explosions that rocked Tehran happened in broad daylight in what President Trump called major combat operations against Iran.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
The U.S. and Israel jointly launching the wide-scale attack, smoke billowing from strikes on multiple targets in Tehran. Iran launching retaliatory strikes, drones and missiles targeting Israel, and U.S. assets, including military bases.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!
Iran also launching drones into nations they believe are helping the U.S. Kuwait, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Jordan.
The Iranians are getting desperate. They are now not targeting military sites. They're going directly after civilian and revenge attacks.
The U.S. strikes against Iran coming after a massive military buildup in the regime and days of speculation about whether the president was going to give the go-ahead for military action. The president making it clear he was not happy with the administration's negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program.
This terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
The president did not seek congressional approval for this attack. And though he claims Iran is working on a missile that could soon reach the U.S., U.S. intelligence has concluded Tehran would not be capable of that for another 9 years.
It's scary how quickly we just lurched to war without any plans, and for something I don't think is in actually our interest.
Again, opinions are widespread. The White House says that President Trump has spoken with the leaders of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, and the NATO Secretary General. The White House is working to arrange briefings this week for all members of the House and Senate on these Iran strikes. And with President Trump claiming that the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, is dead, here is a look at the compound where he was living before and after these U.S. and Israeli strikes today. This is in Tehran. You can see the damage done there, followed by all of the black smoke wafting from below. And obviously that region of the world has a heavy U.S. military presence. Here you can see the area with several countries that border Iran being home to bases for U.S. armed forces. And today, ripple effects and reaction across the globe to those U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran this morning. Here on the left in the big box, you're looking at Times Square in New York City, where thousands gathered to protest and condemn the actions taken by the U.S. and Israel. On the right, up top, you can see people in Israel on a road leading from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, running and looking for shelter as the IDF was warning of Iranian missiles incoming. And just under that, that's Germany, where exiled Iranians were dancing and celebrating and waving Iranian flags. I've translated some of what was said there. I am happy. No one wants war. The U.S. and Israel have their interest, but there is no other way for the Iranian people to ever experience freedom. This can only be achieved through external intervention, and I am happy about that people will simply gain a basic freedom like all of us. Iranians are happy that they finally received help from the outside, from the United States and Israel. We hope for a good ending. Also in Germany today, there were protesters outside of the Iranian embassy in Berlin. German police have fenced off the area and are guarding it around the clock. And locally, the reaction also has brought people out to protest. Here's a look at North Alafaya Trail and Waterford Lakes Town Center. And that's where Channel 9's J.J. Burton joins me live from. And J.J., they've been out there for about an hour.
They have been, and they're chanting. You can see the crowd out here now, and they're going to be out here for a little while longer as well. They have signs. Some say hands off Iran, no more wars, stay out of the wars, and again, chanting these things as well. Now, here's some video of those airstrikes that we're talking about that happened overnight. President Donald Trump calling for a regime change, saying the U.S. military campaign is massive and ongoing, and that American lives may be lost. He's also calling for Iran to take over their government. Local, state, and federal leaders are also speaking out about this across the country. But it's pretty divided along party lines. Republicans agreeing with the president, showing him support. Democrats saying this was an illegal move by the president and that he didn't have the right to do it. Now, we spoke with some of the protesters out here, and they say they don't care about party. They say they're mad at both parties, and they want this to all stop.
I woke up this morning. Actually, I woke up like early this morning and looked and saw my phone, and I saw the news. And I wasn't surprised because the war drums have been beating for months now. Trump and the administration have been talking about actions against Iran. I mean, we had the action last year where we had our own protests to say no war to Iran. So I can't say I'm surprised, but I will say I'm angry.
And back out here live. And Greg, another interesting thing is the majority of the people out here protesting today are the same people who were protesting a couple of weeks ago with ICE, and also the same people who were protesting over at Pulse. And I was asking them all these protests that they're a part of, do they think that things are changing? Are they working? And they say they are working. It's slow and steady, and they're going to continue to protest, continue to speak out until change happens. Reporting live in Orlando, I'm J.J. Burton, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.
All right, interesting perspective, and that's part of that report where they were at all three of these protests. How we got here also may be confusing, so let's take a look at it. The U.S. and Iran have long had conflict, but here are some of the key recent events. On December 28th, citizens of Iran began to protest all over the country. And on January 13th, President Trump encouraged them to keep protesting and that the U.S. could be preparing for military intervention. Since then, negotiations have been taking place without a resolution regarding nuclear buildup in Iran. And some of the protesters there who have spoken out, dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands, have been killed. And now we get to early this morning with these strikes in Iran and the Iranian response by conducting missile strikes in places like Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and Kuwait. The United Nations isn't pleased with any of this aggression and any of these responses.
As always in any armed conflict, it is civilians who end up paying the ultimate price. Bombs and missiles are not the way to resolve differences, but only result in death, destruction, and human misery.
The Commissioner for Human Rights went on to say that he is calling for all parties to de-escalate and return to the negotiating table. Florida Democratic Party Chair Nikki Fried issued a statement today saying, in part, the Ayatollah has led an evil regime that has crushed the human rights of Iranians, escalated tensions in the area for decades, and sponsored terrorism around the globe. American troops, however, deserve better than a commander-in-chief that believes he is above accountability and the rule of law. And in a tweet on X, Congressman Randy Fine said, in part, "We are with you, Mr. President. We will cut off the head of the snake of Muslim terror, bring lasting peace to the Middle East, and save the Iranian people." He ends it by saying, "Bombs away." As the conflict with Iran escalates, our team is tracking every